Max Verstappen has reportedly uncovered a serious and unexpected issue in Red Bull's RB22, the team's first fully RBPT Ford-powered car. Sources suggest this anomaly could threaten reliability and compromise early season performance before the 2026 season even starts. Red Bull is undergoing its most ambitious technical transformation in decades, with a new power unit, redesigned suspension, and the integration of rookie Isaac Hadjar alongside Verstappen. If this problem proves serious, it could disrupt Red Bull's championship strategy, early race results, and their decade-long dominance in F1. While the team has kept the specifics confidential, insiders hint the issue might involve hybrid energy deployment, torque inconsistencies, or engine-chassis interactions, subtle factors only Verstappen could detect. Rival teams are reportedly watching closely, anticipating potential vulnerabilities in Red Bull's setup. Later in the video, we'll break down exactly what Verstappen discovered, why it's such a serious concern, and how this could reshape Red Bull's early season competitiveness. The full implications are more shocking than anything publicly reported so far, and the story is just beginning. Red Bull enters the 2026 season at a turning point, unveiling the RB22, the team's first fully internally designed car with the new RBPT Ford power unit. This transition represents one of the boldest technical undertakings in recent Formula One history, combining decades of engine expertise with radical chassis and aerodynamic changes. Sources suggest that Verstappen's initial laps revealed subtle anomalies that could potentially compromise the car's performance and reliability, elevating preseason testing into a high-stakes analytical exercise. Every lap is no longer just a measure of speed but a probe into the car's fundamental behavior under real-world conditions. The core of the concern revolves around hybrid energy deployment and torque delivery. Early telemetry shows inconsistencies in corner exits and throttle response, which might not appear critical at first glance but could dramatically affect lap times and tire management over a race distance. Verstappen, leveraging his experience and sensitivity to vehicle behavior, is said to have flagged these subtle irregularities, prompting engineers to analyze the interplay between the power unit, battery management, and chassis. The stakes are immense, as even minor deviations in a hybrid system can cascade into significant performance penalties. Complicating this scenario is the RB22's new suspension design. Red Bull has shifted to a pushrod front suspension for the first time in decades, which interacts differently with the chassis and the hybrid system. Sources indicate that Verstappen detected nuances in how the car behaves under load, suggesting the issue could be amplified in certain track conditions or during rapid directional changes. Engineers are now forced to investigate these interactions meticulously, balancing performance optimization with stability and drivability to ensure the car can perform consistently from Melbourne onward. Strategically, Red Bull's approach to preseason testing has shifted dramatically. Where the focus traditionally lay on aerodynamic efficiency, tire degradation, and setup refinement, the team is now dedicating substantial resources to diagnosing the newly discovered anomaly. Every session, simulation, and wind tunnel iteration is being scrutinized for both performance and reliability insights. This defensive approach illustrates how a single observation from a world-class driver can fundamentally alter the preseason priorities of a top Formula One team, reshaping the path toward competitive readiness. The psychological dimension cannot be underestimated. Verstappen's role extends beyond driving at peak performance. He must provide precise, nuanced feedback that engineers rely upon to interpret the problem. Each observation is dissected in detail, and every test adjustment is weighed against potential consequences. The pressure on Verstappen and the engineering team is amplified by the knowledge that rivals are closely monitoring Red Bull's activities, ready to capitalize on any weaknesses. This dynamic highlights the modern F1 driver's dual role as competitor and integral technical collaborator. Rival teams have reportedly intensified their scrutiny. Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren are analyzing lap times and telemetry for signs of RB22 vulnerabilities. Even without access to Red Bull's internal data, subtle performance irregularities are enough to inform competitor strategies and preseason preparations. Verstappen's early detection of unexpected behavior has, therefore, had ripple effects across the paddock, transforming the preseason from a standard testing period into a strategic battlefield where every observation matters. Finally, the implications of Verstappen's discovery could be season-defining. Engineers must validate every component, energy map, and system interaction to ensure reliability and competitive performance. Failure to resolve the anomaly could affect driver confidence, early race results, and ultimately the championship. Preseason has thus become a high-stakes crucible where every decision, adjustment, and lap analysis carries far-reaching consequences, setting the stage for a 2026 season rife with tension, uncertainty, and potential upheaval in the F1 hierarchy. The first partial revelation unfolded as Verstappen pushed the RB22 harder during preseason testing, revealing subtle but significant inconsistencies in hybrid energy deployment and torque management. Engineers immediately shifted from focusing purely on performance metrics to dissecting these anomalies, trying to determine whether they were isolated incidents or signs of a systemic issue. Every lap was analyzed in extreme detail, with telemetry scrutinized for minor deviations that could have outsized effects on reliability and lap consistency. Sources indicate that even small irregularities prompted high-priority investigations to prevent potential race day complications. Rival teams reportedly observed patterns that hinted at potential vulnerabilities. Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren were closely monitoring lap times and sector data, trying to infer whether Red Bull's apparent early dominance could be compromised. While these competitors lacked access to Red Bull's internal telemetry, subtle deviations in performance suggested that the RB22 might not yet be fully reliable under varying track conditions. The discovery triggered a ripple effect across the paddock, prompting rivals to adjust preseason simulations and test strategies in anticipation of possible weaknesses. The hybrid system of the RB22 appears central to the anomalies. Sources suggest Verstappen noticed fluctuations in energy recovery and deployment that could impact corner exits, acceleration consistency, and tire wear. Engineers are running repeated simulations to evaluate how these inconsistencies manifest under different track conditions, load scenarios, and power demands. The complexity of the RBPT Ford power unit and its integration with the chassis magnifies the stakes, as even minor irregularities could lead to critical performance deficits or reliability concerns during races. Suspension and chassis interactions may further exacerbate the issue. Red Bull's shift to a pushrod front suspension introduces new dynamics in handling and energy transfer, which may amplify minor deviations in the hybrid system. Verstappen reportedly flagged unusual reactions during high-speed maneuvers and directional changes, highlighting the importance of resolving this integration issue. Engineers are carefully analyzing how adjustments to one system could influence another, balancing performance gains against potential risks to stability and drivability. Red Bull's strategic approach to preseason testing has shifted dramatically. Where previous seasons focused on lap time optimization and aerodynamic refinements, the RB22's anomalies have made diagnostic testing and issue mitigation a priority. Each wind tunnel iteration, CFD analysis, and on-track lap is now scrutinized not only for performance but also for signs of underlying flaws. This defensive, investigative approach demonstrates how a single discovery from Verstappen can redefine a team's preseason objectives and the flow of its entire testing program. The psychological pressure on Verstappen and the engineering team is immense. As the primary driver detecting the anomaly, Verstappen must provide accurate, actionable feedback while maintaining competitive testing performance. Engineers must act on this feedback swiftly, ensuring that adjustments do not inadvertently worsen the situation. This scenario emphasizes the evolving role of drivers in modern F1 as essential technical collaborators whose insights can shape both development strategy and early-season competitive positioning. Finally, the implications extend beyond Red Bull itself. Competitor teams are reportedly recalibrating their preseason programs, simulations, and testing schedules based on the observed RB22 behavior. Even indirect indications of potential weaknesses influence broader strategic planning and risk assessment. Verstappen's early detection has transformed preseason testing into a high-stakes intelligence exercise, where every observation, telemetry spike, and lap analysis can have far-reaching consequences for the team's championship trajectory and the overall grid dynamics for 2026. The revelation from Verstappen's discovery escalates the stakes far beyond a simple technical anomaly. Sources suggest that the irregularity could influence multiple aspects of the RB22, from hybrid energy deployment to torque consistency and overall chassis interaction. Engineers are now conducting exhaustive simulations to determine whether the problem is an isolated issue or indicative of a deeper systemic flaw. Every test, lap, and data stream is scrutinized for inconsistencies, highlighting how a subtle observation by a driver can have monumental implications on team strategy and the 2026 championship trajectory. At the core of this twist is the hybrid energy management system. Verstappen reportedly detected inconsistencies in energy recovery and deployment under specific track conditions, which could affect corner exit speeds and tire wear. Engineers are analyzing a vast array of scenarios to understand how these irregularities might manifest during qualifying runs and full race distances. The interplay between the RBPT Ford engine and the RB22 chassis means that even small deviations can snowball, potentially creating reliability concerns that extend across the entire season. The FIA adds an additional layer of pressure. While Red Bull has not officially breached regulations, the RB22's integration of hybrid power and new engine architecture could draw scrutiny if performance characteristics appear to push boundaries. Any corrections implemented by the team may be observed closely, and rival teams are likely prepared to challenge perceived advantages. Red Bull must therefore navigate this delicate landscape, optimizing performance while ensuring regulatory compliance, a balance that intensifies the tension in every preseason decision. Strategically, the discovery has forced Red Bull to pivot its preseason program. What would normally be sessions dedicated to aerodynamic refinements, suspension optimization, and tire degradation analysis are now dominated by diagnostic testing and mitigation strategies. Engineers must extract actionable insights from every lap while ensuring no interventions create new issues. This defensive posture underscores the dramatic influence a single technical discovery can have on preseason priorities, redirecting resources and focus to ensure early season reliability and competitive stability. The psychological pressure on Verstappen and the engineering team has surged. As the driver who identified the anomaly, Verstappen must provide precise, actionable feedback while still pushing the car to gather critical performance data. Engineers, meanwhile, must interpret these observations to implement corrections without creating further complications. This dynamic highlights the increasingly crucial role of drivers in modern Formula One, where their technical insights are as vital as their on-track performance for shaping preseason strategy and development decisions. The ripple effect of Verstappen's discovery extends across the paddock. Rival teams such as Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren are recalibrating their simulations, adjusting testing priorities, and re-evaluating early season strategies in response to Red Bull's potential vulnerabilities. Even indirect knowledge of performance irregularities can shape competitor planning. The discovery has transformed preseason testing from a standard evaluation period into a high-stakes strategic contest, where observation, interpretation, and rapid adaptation are as critical as raw speed. Finally, the long-term consequences for Red Bull's 2026 campaign are substantial. Engineers must validate every component, energy map, and hybrid interaction to ensure both reliability and competitive performance. Failure to resolve the issue could impact race results, driver confidence, and the overall championship bid. Verstappen's early detection has turned preseason into a high-pressure crucible, where each engineering decision, test lap, and simulation carries amplified consequences that could define Red Bull's trajectory for the entire 2026 season.